Unfortunately, Americans see all sorts of hatred, racism, misogyny, anti-Semitism, xenophobia, transphobia, enjoying a hideous golden age. Parents are worried that their children will be viewed from early adolescence, distorting their perspectives on diversity and inclusion. But here's some encouraging news. You can fight the creeping scope of hate before it's too late. Experts in child psychology and the war against intolerance have been asked to offer tips on putting male violent incidents and attitudes in perspective, dispelling little ones' misapprehensions and inspiring the children to be forces for good. Ages 0 to 6. In these early years, the job is to lay a constructive framework for confronting hostility by fostering its opposite, compassion and empathy. Luckily, your kid has a head start, an innocent ignorance of what divides people. Kids are well aware of the ways we vary, but they are not born to classify individuals of a specific colour, gender or ethnicity. They're not naturally discriminating. The hope is that children who grow up in cultures that are ethnically, socio-economically, or otherwise diverse will be welcomed into their worldview. This isn't assured, but tests indicate that it works. However, if your kid has no exposure to people who don't look like her or behave like her, experts suggest taking the world home. Learn different cultures together by enjoying their food and watching their movies. Urge your child's instructor to construct multiculturalism in her curriculum. If you are bilingual, use your mother tongue or inspire your child to learn another language. A 2014 University of Chicago study showed that children who encounter several languages in everyday life are more likely to embrace those whose language varies from their own, which is a step towards a wider sense of understanding. You don't need to preemptively inform a kid this age about the horrors of intolerance. I don't believe I'd sit down with a 3-year-old and tell, let's chat about racism. So, if there's a need for discussion, provide one. In 2017, we saw a surge of bomb attacks in Jewish cultural centres. You can see very young children evacuating from these buildings on TV. They definitely knew something was wrong, and they were terrified. Yeah, of course, you'd like to talk to them about it. This can sound unlikely, but the trick is to keep the variety in vocabulary manageable to foster anti-racism in children. You'd say something like, the person doing this needs to be really frustrated. Yet we're using our vocabulary to fix problems. No matter how weird the conversation sounds, silence is worse. Imagine that you're a 4-year-old and you note that Dad's staring at his phone, that he's angry, and people seem concerned, and no one's telling you why. Think how disturbing it would be. Ages 6 to 8. Discussing animosity is made overt easier at this age, but don't believe it has to be a super formal chat. Families talk all the time about these topics without understanding it. Little ones are very much in tune with what is just and not right. There is a good foundation for debating inequality. Let your child be a reference to you. Kids of this era can express their thoughts, so it doesn't, and shouldn't, need to be solely up to you to steer a discussion. Ask her if she knows what she sees. What do people tell you on the playground? What did she see on the TV? You're going to be able to hold the discussion at the right level. Reassurance, sincerity, and clarity. Also, the key, don't overdo that. Be as plain, concise, and truthful as you can be. If you have a reflexive desire to downplay, what happened at the garlic festival will never happen here, avoid it. A false statement sounds a lot like dismissiveness, because if she's not concerned about these activities, she's going to assume you're not taking them seriously. Instead, tell her what you know for sure. Tell her you love her, and that there are adults trying to keep her safe. Kids may have a weird literal vision of the universe, and they may ask for something seemingly bizarre, yet vital to their comprehension. When I told my then 8-year-old daughter that Osama bin Laden was murdered, she asked me, "Where is his body?" It was an unusual question, but you can't trivialize what they actually want to hear. You might also discover that your child has a confusing part of what has happened, even anxiously inflating the incident to excess proportions. But with any fear, like, We can't go to Walmart. People get fired there. There's a soothing response. You might say, I understand why you'd think so, but it was a very rare occurrence, and it's unlikely to happen again. Ages 9 to 11. Child psychologists claim that helping children cope with frightening incidents has become a very common challenge in recent years. The ubiquity of technologies offers children unparalleled exposure to knowledge that they do not have the ability to make sense of. The recommendation used to be, turn off the TV, do not encourage children to have access to death videos. But they've got mobile at 9 or 10. They're going to see it there, and they're going to see hundreds of other screens they find. And we've got to make them understand what they see and hear. And with safety settings, the alarming news and the abhorrent views will enter your kid. My children tell me that students at their school taunt Latino children about ICE. You better run. ICE is going to get you. Data reveals that there has been an increase in racial discrimination in recent years. So I'm thinking, what are the people talking about at school? What's your phone saying? This kind of investigation is important, particularly if you have a child who does not come naturally. You can't rely on your child to get you difficult things. You've got to think, rumours fly like flames in school and online. Help them in the holes. Then, I'm not sure it happened that way in Minnesota. You might tell before you explain how it happened. At this age, your child will often begin to pick up on the prejudice of others he respects and loves. Grandma has a homophobic meme. The friend goes to the baby to see the need for a boundary wall. Your child can correctly be confused. He cares about this girl, but his views vary from those of his or her family. Addressing these inequalities. Hold the vocabulary neutral. We love Grandma, and we think differently from her. She's coming to her conclusions, but we've come to various conclusions. Tweens and teens. When children plan to leave infancy, they reinforce their sense of belonging, establishing the groundwork for who they will become. As we've seen in the press, this era can be a turning point. Many youngsters, most of them, may prefer a life of acceptance, kindness, and reverence for fellow human beings. Others are going to take a darker path. Suppose you see your kid engaged in racism or hate speech, whether online or in life. And yes, even children of socially responsible parents talk up. Teenagers are seeking to establish their own principles. You say, we're not on the same page here, but what do you believe? Remember that adolescents sometimes struggle to see situations in their full complexity. Stereotypes are oversimplifications, he added. When your child buys into them, it's your responsibility to help him complicate his thought and see the complexities he doesn't understand. She has a couple of hints. It's a tightrope walk. You want to leave the dialogue open, but make it plain that you don't condone racism or stereotypes. I don't think that way, and I don't think what you're doing is polite. Or, I used to think that way, but then I read X, or I heard Y. Even if it doesn't appear, he understands everything you mean. Even children may feel obligated to act in the face of these vexing issues. This is a strong emotion, and it should be embraced by parents. It doesn't have to be the start of a foundation. It could be, I'm going to do one kind thing today, or also, I haven't been sleeping well and I'm frustrated, so I'm going to make sure I get some sleep. Taking action also gives a feeling of power. Activism gives you agency. It's terrifying to see the horror of the world, because if you know like you're helping, because interacting with others who know like you are, you're encouraged. Of course, none of this is straightforward. You could stumble, after all. These problems are as nuanced as they are disturbing, but the greatest weapon in this, as in all aspects, is the intuition. Every parent, every child, every scenario is different. However, we love our children and what they will do. It's all right to let your child know that you, too, are adjusting to these terrifying times. If we don't demonstrate that we're angry, our children will feel odd when they're angry. We can't teach coping skills if we say we don't have to deal with it. These discussions may not be comfortable, but they are going to be essential. We can't only tell our children what's easy. We need to tell them what's essential.